Hi, everybody in the world. That's right. You in the US, you everywhere, even in Iceland, coming in as well to Tokyo, Japan, wherever you want to call it today. But we're coming in today from Australia to the UK. It's Plastic EP, the sensational Sabine. How are you, Sabine?
I'm groovy. Thank you.
And our very special guest, the one and only coming from the UK, London, is Michael Armstrong. How are you today, Michael?
I'm good, man. How you doing, Plastic? How you doing, Sabine? Great to be with you.
Good to have
I
you.
got to say, Michael, we'll talk about your songs, we'll talk about your single, and we'll talk about your album. But let me tell you, Michael, they're going straight to the top of the charts.
Go straight to the top of the charts. Go straight to the top of the charts. From 10 to 1, you gotta show number 1 when you go straight to the top of the charts. Top of the charts, top of the charts. That song's gonna climb to the top. When you go straight to the top of the charts. When you go straight to the top of the charts. When you go straight to the top, right to the top. When you go straight to the top of the charts.
Yes, Michael, that's where you're headed, to the top of the charts. So let's get straight into business today. Right, Matters of Heart. The big radio impact day was today. Obviously, you got all day to make a big impact for Matters of Heart. How is that actually going?
Oh, it's gone really, really well. Yeah, I've had a fantastic reaction to the single. Probably the most of any single I've released. Actually, everyone really seems to be loving it, and the video that I made for it. And it's picked up some good radio playlists. And today, as you say, is the big impact day, and it's going to be.
I don't know if you're going around to every radio station and take a roll and a buddy and a cup of tea. I don't know what impact you're going to do, but you keep up the good work, because I'll tell you what, I've heard a lot of your interviews. You're all over the net. You're going international. They're watching this in the USA. Now, is that going to be released on the 5th of June, the single, or is it already out?
Now, the single's already available. It's the 25th of June is when the album Ojai comes out. Or we'll argue about what it's called. Oh, there it is. There it is. Ojai, yeah.
Ojai. That's it.
Ojai is coming out on the 25th of June, like it says there. And the single Matters of Heart is available now on all the usual platforms. And the album you can pre-order from my website, which is Michael Armstrong Music, or on Amazon or iTunes, or wherever you buy your music. You'll find my grinning, smiling, beardy face with the classic orange letters of Ojai.
Now, can I ask you something? Ojai, you've been there, obviously, because we spoke about that last time. Yeah. Now, what made you have a shave now? Why didn't you get this image of yourself there like the album?
That I took that picture there is I took a selfie of myself, obviously, during lockdown. There was one where I had not a really big beard, because my beard doesn't grow that big, but I had long hair and a more fuller beard, and I was looking really rough. I think I'd had a few to drink the night before, and I took this photograph, and I thought that's a cool photograph, and made it all black and white. And when I showed it to a couple of people, they said, "You can't use that as an album cover. You look about 70 years old, and you're meant to look good on an album." And I just thought it was a cool photograph, so I cleaned myself up a little bit and took that photograph, smiling, and I thought, well, that would do for the album cover. But the picture where I'm looking pretty rough, the original photograph does actually appear in the album somewhere. So. If you
when you first came on, Michael, I thought you just came off the set of an action movie. You look like an action type of guy. Comes across.
You reckon, yeah? Well, a bit of a Tom Cruise. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. I got a feeling that you might make it big in America, because it's people like Paul McCartney that said you're a rocker. That's correct, isn't it?
He's rock star, is what he called me. Hey,
rock star. That's it, rock star.
Hey,
Well, you look like a rock star. When you walk down the street, do people ask for your signatures when you're doing your shopping? I'm just curious.
I can't go to the shops, Plastic. I just get mobbed. I can't.
Yeah, well, my problem is when I go down the shops, I've got like 80-year-old grandmas asking for my signatures, so I try not to go down there dressed up like this.
No, I wouldn't. No, I can't leave the house these days because of the fame. It's the price you have to pay though for superstardom, you know.
Hey, it's the price of love, like Brian Ferry used to sing. Now, let me ask you something, Michael. All seriousness, right?
Yeah.
You've played with a lot of top musicians. Tell everybody who you've played with.
Oh goodness, yeah. I mean, I've played and worked with many great musicians. McCartney was, I guess, one of them. Mark Knopfler, I've worked with. Let me see, Cliff Richard, Hank Marvin, who lives over there with you guys, doesn't he? In Perth. Yeah, Hank played with. Let me see. Elliot Randall from Steely Dan plays the guitar on a couple of my albums, and Albert Lee, the fantastic, famous country guitar player, played guitar on my first album. Yeah, I mean, a huge list of and lots of kind of session musicians who played with Amy Winehouse and George Michael, the guy who plays sax on all my albums was George Michael's saxophonist.
Oh, wonderful!
So I've been very, very lucky. Yeah, there's lots of fantastic musicians who are happy to play my songs and enhance them and make them, you know, as best as they possibly can be.
But that's fantastic, because I tell you what, you've got very great credentials there, and you're in the entertainment business. So now I'll pass you on to Sabina. She wants to ask you a few questions.
Cool.
Yeah. Michael, will you tell everybody, and I need to know a bit more about it as well, the big event at Buckingham Palace, I believe it was the Silver Jubilee event, and Cliff was there. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That was an incredible weekend, which is forever etched on my mind. Yeah, we were working as part of with my promotions hat on, working with Lisa Davis Promotions. We were representing Cliff. We were working with Cliff. We worked with Cliff for many years, and whenever the UK has a celebration of that nature, Cliff being I think the greatest, having the most number ones or hit singles or whatever in the UK, he's always invited, and he's a lovely fella. And so we were representing Cliff, and we went there, and it was like over a weekend. Even the show, I think the show was on the Sunday night or the Monday night. It was a bank holiday, but obviously everyone had to rehearse and get the whole show together across the weekend. And so I remember going there and turning up, and the dressing rooms were in like a huge marquee, a posh marquee, obviously, but a huge marquee that you went into. You had to have a special card, and Cliff's dressing room was kind of at one end, and next door to him it said Sir Paul McCartney, and the next one along was Tom Jones. The other side was Elton John, and I just walked down. It was a long corridor, and I walked down, and it was Shirley Bassey, Gary Barlow, Robbie Williams, Kylie Minogue, Cheryl Cole, Ed Sheeran, and it was like Stevie Wonder, and I was like, oh man, is this real? And then they all turned up, all these guys, and they're all just milling around and just being normal people, which is crazy, you know. And just got to hang out with everyone and speak with everyone and watch them sound check, which for me, being a musician, was fabulous. You know, so I actually watched Stevie Wonder and his band sound check standing with Paul McCartney's band, because they all come out to watch it. So I've got a great picture of me and the band. We're just standing there. There was only 10 of us, I think, me, the band, and a few other people hanging around, and we just watched Stevie and his band do his thing, which is
wonderful.
It's like watching, you know.
Which have been a fly on the wall.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Was there a goodie bag, Michael? Was there a royal goodie bag?
There wasn't a royal goodie bag, not that I got anyway. I guess the artists of the day maybe did. I know that after the show, the artists were invited to go into the palace for drinks and etc. And Cliff didn't have a partner, and so he said to Lisa, my business partner, Lisa Davis, do you want to come with me? So she got to go. She went into the palace, and she said it was quite funny because they went into like some beautiful ballroom, and once she walked in with Cliff, everyone wanted to speak to him. So like William and Harry and the like all come over to chat to Cliff. So yeah, that must have been a great experience. But no, I wasn't allowed into that, and probably rightfully too. I'd have caused far too much trouble.
I've got to tell you, we're big fans of Cliff Richard. We love Cliff Richard. As you know, my favourite songs, On the Beach, Summer Holiday, I love all the early stuff. He is a real rock and roll pioneer. As I said, when Elvis was happening in the US, Cliff Richard was one of the first, and we take our hat off to Cliff Richard. I want you to know, everybody here in Australia and even the UK and the world, we all love Cliff Richard.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, we a big fan base over here. My friend Christine Whitehead, she runs the Cliff's Christian fan club. I've known her for years, and I've met Cliff several times. And when he was in Time and Musical, got backstage to see him, and with Mike Reed at various pro-am tennis tournaments, and I've met Cliff loads of times. And my very first album, Michael, was All My Love, Music for Pleasure album that my mum bought me in 1970. I was about 12, 13.
Well, you know his first single was Move It.
Yeah.
And let me say, Cliff, if you're watching, we want you on this show because we want to pay tribute to you because we love you that much. You got so many singles that charted #1 and Being With the Shadows. As I said, to me, you're one of the greats and you'll always be one of the greats. You agree, Michael? He's just unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And incredible singer, incredible passion and longevity, and incredibly hard-working man, but also probably the nicest human being I've ever met.
So much love and respect for Cliff, really. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, Michael, is that the Cavern Club. Now that was a 60th anniversary event too. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that was another strange thing. I'd finished my first album and was working on my second album. In fact, I need to go back a step. When during the recording of there was a couple of things here. When I finished my first album, I wanted to do a couple of launch shows. I did one in London and I decided to do one in Liverpool. And I'd met a couple called Nigel and Debbie Greenberg. And Debbie's dad ran the Cavern Club, owned the Cavern Club during the 60s heyday. So she was a teenager during that period when the Beatles were playing there and all these other bands. And, she was kind of living there, more or less. So what a fantastic time to be a teenager. And I met them and they really loved my music and obviously still had connections with the Cavern Club. And so they allowed me or arranged for me to do my launch gig for my first album there. And when I was there, I insisted on doing an afternoon set as well for the tourists and played an hour's worth of Beatles songs with my band on the Beatles stage there. But then that when the relationship then developed, and as I was recording my second album, it was slightly delayed because it was taking us longer, as albums always tend to do. And so I decided to release a Christmas single, and Debbie had given me a single that her dad had written for her and recorded for her way back, during this 60s period. And it was a Christmas song called Little Girl. And she'd given it to me and said, if you can ever do anything with it, I just wanted you to hear it. And I was working with a guy called Warren Bennett on my second album. And I said to him, I've got this song, we should have a listen to it. And we listened to it and it just had something really magical about it. It was like a lost treasure, really, from the heyday of the 60s. And so we decided we'd record it. We updated it a bit. We put a new chorus in and we changed it around a bit and made it a bit more interesting. And we recorded it and I sent it to Debbie and Nigel and said, look, are you okay for us to release this for Christmas? And she was over the moon. And it just so happened that it also tied in. She'd been writing a book about her life growing up at the Cavern and was releasing that at the same time in Christmas. And she then told me it was the Cavern's 60th anniversary. So all these things kind of came together supernaturally. And she spoke to the Cavern and they made the single their official single, and it was up for sale in the Cavern Club. And when she launched her book, I went down to the Cavern again and performed the song at the Cavern Club in front of quite lots of, Liverpool luminaries, kind of important people and people who were around at the time. So, yeah, it was a great experience and really emotional for Debbie because obviously her dad had passed away. So to hear the song reborn and performed at the Cavern where she'd grown up was it was a really touching moment. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've got a book, and also got to say, you've heard the story of the day when Paul McCartney went there with Linda, and he rang up the cavern and said, "Listen, I'll come, but do not tell the press, do not tell anyone I'm coming." And they went there, and then what happens is she organised for a camera, and Paul allowed him to take some private shots of him in the cavern. That's an amazing story. You agree?
It is, and it was actually Linda who took the shots, because they went to the shop next door to buy a camera, but they couldn't work out to work it. And Paul came back and said, "This is my new girlfriend, Linda." And they were like fiddling around. She said, "Here, give it to me. I'll sort it out." And being a photographer, and chop. And she took the photographs. And there's a beautiful photograph of Debbie and Paul from that day still on the wall at the cavern. In fact, if you look on my website, there's a video for the song I did, the song we're talking about, Little Girl. And I made the video for that, and I filmed it in the cavern. And there's a shot, you can see the very picture I'm talking about. And yeah, it's fantastic. And by all accounts, there was a piano in there, and according to Debbie, Paul sat down at the piano and said, "Do you want to hear my new song?" And he sat down and went, "Hey Jude, don't make it bad." So maybe they were the first ever people to hear "Hey Jude."
Yeah. Oh, magical! That fantastic. I've got all Linda McCartney's photography books.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and I've been to Liverpool with my rock choir. I've actually been to the cavern and actually been on stage too, and at the Liverpool Echo with rock choir. So I have happy memories of Liverpool. Yeah, must go back.
It's a great city.
Yeah,
Michael, you got to give everybody your links. Give everybody your links now.
Oh, it's michaelarmstrongmusic.co.uk is the website. That's the best place to go, because that's the hub, the impact, and you can fish away from there to all the other various places. I think Facebook is Michael Armstrong Music, Instagram is Michael Armstrong Music. It's all pretty, it's all pretty centralized. So just look up that and you'll find me.
As I said, we got the big impact day to day. Everyone go out there and start buying Matters of Art. And then when you get a chance, buy this fantastic album. What a picture. Just go out and buy it for the picture. Ojai or Ojai, whatever you want to call it.
What you like, as long as you buy it.
25th of June, 2021. And I'll tell you what, Michael, I will go out and buy that album.
Yeah, me too.
I like the cover that much.
But I just wanted to ask one more question about that, actually, Michael. Is that so? The name is the name of a place in California. Is it a place? How did you know about the place? What does it mean to you? Is it a personal memory?
I had never heard of it, and I didn't know how to pronounce it. Still don't until 2018, and I was invited to go there. With an American singer-songwriter called Ben Folds, who's a fantastic, one of my great heroes and influences. And just, again, by one of these twists of fate, I managed to get invited to go over to spend some time with Ben Folds and some other singer-songwriters, and on like a songwriting retreat. And it just happened to be in this place, Ojai or Ojai. And so yeah, I flew out to Los Angeles. I'd never been to that part of America before, and so I flew to Los Angeles and spent a couple of days in Santa Monica, and then I hired a car and I drove up the Pacific Coast Highway through Malibu Beach and all these places I'd read about, up into the mountains to Ojai, which is just a beautiful, idyllic little town. And I then spent 4 or 5 days with Ben Folds and a group of other guys and gals, talking music, writing songs, eating fine food and drinking whiskey.
Wow.
And it was just wonderful. And a lot of the songs I wrote there make up the album Ojai, which is why I called it. It was a fantastic experience. And, you can certainly hear the West Coast influence on the album and through the songs. And it's where a lot of my favorite music in the world was ever written. It's home of the Beach Boys.
It does. It brings to my mind, I can visualize already from that name. It does. It sounds very, as you say, very idyllic, and I don't know, it's just like a faraway place, but it's reachable. But it's just a wondrous place. So maybe I'll get to visit there one day. Hopefully, I love America.
It's magical.
Well worth a visit. Beautiful, beautiful town.
I want to say it's magical. It's really great there. The only thing is, like Australia and the UK, you drive on the left-hand side of the road. Over there, you have to drive on the right-hand side of the road. And they usually got very good cars you can rent. Have a great time in the US. Now, sincerely, Michael, I want you to know we love you on this show, right? It's been our pleasure. Make sure everybody goes out and buys Ojai and Matters of the Heart. Look at that. You can't – look, if that was in a record shop there, you'd pick that up straight away, wouldn't you, Sabine, right?
Yeah.
Can't
Big
miss
release
that
day
one.
today. Big release day today. Good luck with it.
Yeah.
Matters of Heart, fantastic. Go out, get the single, start spending some money and enjoy the music. Because, Michael, I'll tell you what, you've got a very unique sound. You write very unique songs. And we're looking forward to going out and playing live once it all opens up a bit. I'm sure you're going to go out there and play live.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for being on. Go straight to the top of the charts. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you,
Thank
Michael.
you.
Stay there for a minute.
Thank you,
Go
guys.
straight to the top of the charts. Go straight